believe that. There is a part of me that still can't. But here we are, folks. Here we are. And so happy new year to you. Happy 2025. And I send you all my love and best wishes for whatever it is that you are dreaming and desiring to come true for you this year. May it be so. It's wonderful to be back here on Inspired Coach Podcast. I am very excited to kick off our program this year. And boy, wow, gee whiz, do we have some wonderful clients and guests and coaches and experts coming up for you in the most incredible ways. And we're beginning with an absolute beauty. It's a success story with the wonderful Fionnuala Wylie. Fionnuala is a heart-centered business coach, international retreat space holder, and Reiki master. She specialises in supporting incredible women to build businesses and host retreats that feel beautifully aligned with their greatest potential. Fionnuala weaves the magic of energetics, Reiki, mindset, and practical strategy into her coaching to help her clients bring forth who they truly are and create the life and business their soul desires. Fionnuala has supported her clients to take many leaps of faith into starting new businesses, selling out retreats, and most importantly, shining the light of who they are as they share their sacred gifts with the world. We are so proud and honoured to have Fionnuala as alumni of our coaching community. If nothing else, you're going to love her divine Irish accent that you hear ahead. That is her homeland, her home of birth. However, she and her now husband have been living here in Australia for many years. I know eventually they're going to return to Ireland, which is really exciting, and it's just an expansion of beautiful you coaches from all over the world. Hello to you all over there in Ireland and also the UK and Europe. We love you, and well done to you for forging so many wonderful things over in those parts of the world with coaching, which is not the same as it is in other countries like Australia or New Zealand or the USA or Canada. You really are pioneers. And something that Fionnuala is an incredible pioneer in is running retreats. She's of course not the first person to ever run or the first coach to ever run a retreat, but wow, does she run a lot of them, and they always sell out, international locations, and she's now teaching other coaches how to successfully run retreats as well. She's absolutely divine, an amazing 6-figure plus success story. I know you're going to love this interview with Fionnuala ahead. Enjoy. Welcome to the show for 2025. Fionnuala Doherty, welcome to Inspired Coach Podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to be here to talk about your incredible success journey and story as a coach.
Hello, I am so excited to be here too. I've so been looking forward to this conversation with you, Julie.
Yeah, me too, Fionnuala. And there are just so many rich and wonderful things to talk about in your coaching journey, and I can't wait for everyone to learn more about you. I want to start out today by actually acknowledging that I saw recently that you are celebrating now 5 years in your coaching business, 5 beautiful years. Do you have a particular memory or experience that really stands out to you in the last 5 years?
Oh, that's such a great question. There are so many. And if I was to pick one, I think for me, definitely my biggest highlights have been running retreats. It has been just the most joyful experience as part of my coaching work and my yoga teaching, and it kind of is a space where I bring everything together. But retreats are just so unbelievably magic. So I think some of my favorite memories have been away on retreat with people for an extended amount of time and just getting to be totally immersed in the work for a few days.
Yeah, you know what? I feel the same way about being in person with people at any time, but
Mm.
when you're on retreat and you get more time than you usually do with people in a one-off event or workshop, it's very, very special. And I know that retreats have become an enormous part of your not just offerings but your success. And so I absolutely want to make sure that we talk about that, and we will. So I didn't know what you were going to say to that question, but I probably had an inkling that you might say retreats because I know that you love them so much. So, Fionnuala, you are a yoga teacher, and that is something that you do regularly alongside your coaching. Am I right in saying, and I actually don't know the answer to this question, but am I right in saying that yoga was the opening or the pathway to you into personal and spiritual development that maybe then further opened the door to coaching for you?
In my business, yes, I started teaching yoga first before I did bring coaching into my business. I actually trained in both at the same time. I signed up to do a coaching course and a yoga teacher training simultaneously, which was a great undertaking whilst I had a full-time job, but so incredible. And on my own personal journey, it was also a mixture. I was practicing yoga and also had a coach, and that was really what made me feel called to step into this world and learn more about it, and yeah, train, because I just received so much transformation from the work I was doing on myself, and so I felt really called to explore it further.
Yeah, and you know what? That is not an unfamiliar or unusual story. Sometimes people have a brilliant experience with a coach themselves and then think, actually, I think I might like to do this. Not everybody, of course, they have a brilliant experience and they know that it's not for them to sit on the other side, but sometimes that's what happens. But it's still a big leap to go from I think I might like to do this to then actually doing it. So tell us about that leap that you then made. You know, you're thinking about it and then, okay, yep, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, initially, whenever I was feeling into becoming a coach or doing the training, the thing that was really big for me was I had such a strong idea of where my career path was going to lead me before that. So I had did a degree in psychology. I always thought I was going to be an educational psychologist. I was living in Australia, and it was really just a gap year where I was doing something completely different with this intention of following like an educational route in that way that was something that I was so committed to. And so when these things started to come into my horizon, they felt very different and took me a little while. I think there was identity work in that, in allowing myself to explore the fact that I actually really wanted to learn these modalities that had really shifted the trajectory of my own life. So initially, when I signed up to do the training, it was more from a place of curiosity. I thought, I'll do this training. I'm not sure if I'll definitely use it. And I think that was probably a voice of self-doubt and inner critic and all of those things. But I just felt really called to be further immersed in the world of personal development. And so that's what allowed me to take the leap into signing up to do the training in the first place. It was probably like a half foot into, yes, I'll explore this thing and I'm not too attached to where it takes me right now. And that's when I signed up. And yeah, really it was from that place of wanting to further develop within myself and also explore this modality.
Okay, I did not know this. And so I always love hearing these stories and finding out things about people that I didn't previously know. And so it's such a privilege to be able to have conversations like this with people in our community here at Beautiful You. And I also think that this is we're going to stay here for a little while because I want to hear more about this, because I think this is a really wonderful perspective for you of your lived experience, for you to share that when you first stepped into this, you were not necessarily fully, I'm going to be a life coach and I'm going to start my own business and this is exactly the path that I'm going to take and go down. And here you are 5 years later running a highly successful 6-figure plus business, full-time in it, have been doing it. And so that immediately makes me think that there are so many different pathways for people with this. It's wonderful to come in and know that exactly where you might be going, but to not make the mistake of thinking just because you're not sure of where it may take you, that somehow or another means that you're not going to experience success or that it's going to take you longer, because clearly with you it didn't. And so, Fionnuala, something obviously happened. Like something somewhere along the line shifted for you where you were somewhat tentative or half in, but curious, not half in a bad way, but I'm going to see what this is, to like, whoa, hang on a second here. I want to go all the way. So what happened? What changed?
I think one of the biggest lessons for me in life in general has been to follow my own joy and to follow what lights me up and to let that be the thing that guides my life. And I think that as I was doing the training, I was just so lit up by what I was learning. I was so lit up by the way that the course was structured, and that we actually got to have experience of coaching someone. So if you don't know already, when you're in the course, you are buddied up with someone and they coach you, and you get the experience of coaching them. And Julie does such an incredible job of pairing people together. I think she's the ultimate matchmaker. So so me and my buddy just had the best experience. And as I was doing pro bono coaching and experiencing just how magic it was as a modality, I knew that there was really something in it for me. And that does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that I felt totally ready or that I felt like I was the most incredible coach in the world or any of those things. There was still all of the mindset stuff there that I had to work through. But I really just felt that desire from my body, from a place of being connected to my heart. And something that I've really learned along the way is that your heart never leads you astray. And so, yeah, I think that's what really shifted me throughout the course, was just how much I loved it and how much I was getting from it, and not wanting it to be over when the course was complete.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing that. And, you know, it's really wonderful to hear that that was your experience. And I remember you and your buddy having such a beautiful connection and experience together, which was amazing. And by the end of the course, tell us, because it's great, I think, for people to hear a little bit or get a grasp of a timeline. By the time you finished the course, I understand you're doing your yoga teacher training at the same time, so big commitment. When did you actually then begin your business? Like, by teaching yoga, because you've gone on to have everyone, just to let you know, Fionnuala has a raving fanhood of yoga devotees that her classes are where she does them in Sydney are regularly booked out. She has an extraordinary community. You basically can't get in to do yoga with her because she's so good. And so when did the yoga teaching when did you start to hold your classes, and when did you begin coaching? Did they start at the same time, or did you begin with one and the other came?
I began initially with yoga teaching. I was still working with some pro bono clients, but not in a paid capacity yet. So for the first almost year in my business, I was solely teaching yoga and had some pro bono clients on the side. And my coaching business really began when I invested in a business coach who lit a good fire up my bum.
As good business coaches do.
Shout out Ali Swift. And she really supported me to start to work in a paid capacity with clients and supported me to realise that it was time for me to do that. So that came about a year after I started my yoga business. Yeah.
Wonderful. And obviously, Fionnuala, in the 4 years since then, things have just grown and grown and grown to where now, as I mentioned before, you're in your business full time. It's spiritually successful for you. I know it's filled with joy. It's financially successful and so many other things. And so I'd love for you now to share with us, what are some of the elements that actually then make up your coaching business? Because I know that you still do yoga teaching, and you're running classes there, and that's a part of your business as well. But there are now many other things that you do besides just one-on-one work. And so I'd love to learn more about that. Yeah, so tell us about those different offerings that you have, because I think it's really interesting for people to hear the different sorts of diversity that can exist in a coaching business.
Yeah, I am certainly a lady who likes to do lots of things in her business. So I teach yoga, as you said. I'm also a Reiki master, so I hold sessions within my home one-to-one with people through Reiki. And then with coaching, I work one-to-one with my clients, supporting them to follow their own dreams and set up businesses is what that has sort of moved into as I've coached throughout the years. Wasn't where I began, but it's where I am now. And I also support people with setting up and running their own retreats through my coaching. So I have recently ran my first round of a group coaching program where I've been supporting people to run day retreats, weekend long retreats, and also international retreats, which has been incredible. And retreats are also a big part of my own business. I run them locally and I also run them abroad a few times a year. And retreats are the space where I kind of get to integrate all of the things that I do in my business, which is so beautiful.
And when you say all the things, I imagine that means some yoga, some coaching, all you kind of bringing them all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. So let's talk more about retreats, because this has become a huge part of your success. How many international retreats have you run now? Is it like 10, 12 more?
No, international, I've run 4 or 5.
Okay.
Most of the retreats that I run are in Australia, which I suppose is international for me, being an Irish gal, but I've been living over here for 8 years now. But yeah, I've been running a few retreats in Bali and then also ran a retreat in Ireland this year as well. So yeah, I've run about 5 international, I think, now. Okay.
Tell us about the leap then to offering your first international retreat. Ones where I know you run retreat, like day retreats, but they're, which some people would call workshops. They're, they're different. But it's a whole other ball game when we're talking about running a retreat in a different country, or even a very different location in the country that you live in, and having people stay and needing to make sure they're well fed and, taken care of over an extended period of time. So what made you decide, first of all, I want to have a go at this? I'm going to take the leap and I'm going to offer a retreat and see how that goes.
I felt a real desire to have time and space to go deeper with people. I had been running weekend long retreats quite a few times, so from a Friday to a Sunday, and it really felt like by the time we got to Sunday, we had dipped our toes in, but there was just so much more that I wanted to to do with people and to support people with. And so I knew that taking people away somewhere where we would be just totally immersed in, where I take people in Bali, is just immersed in nature. It's absolutely beautiful. It's off the beaten track. Would just be an entirely different experience. So I was feeling a desire to lengthen the experience and to add in more things. And when you're running a retreat, it's kind of like you go on a journey with people where there almost feels like there's this peak of an experience and then there's this beautiful time for integration. And so when you're running a shorter retreat, you obviously can't go to the tip of the peak because then you don't have enough time for people to integrate whatever it is that they've moved through. And so that's where the desire was born. And then it as the universe works in mysterious ways, it kind of happened where I was talking to someone that I was working for in a studio, and I was saying to her, like, I really feel like I'd love to run a retreat in Bali. And she was like, oh, well, actually, I've got a deposit on a place that I can't use, because she had just had twins and it wasn't timing for her. So it was almost like I was getting a nudge to just do the thing that I was supposed to do. And so that was when I decided, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And it was terrifying and exciting and all of the emotions whenever I decided to take the leap. And those are always the best moments in business, the times where it feels like you're kind of out of your comfort zone, but there's something magic about that. So yeah, that's what that decision looked like.
Thank you, Fionnuala. And, you know, again, it's one thing to think about it. It's another thing to make the step to make it happen, which you then did. It's then another thing to sell it out, not just once, but multiple times over now. You have had sellout retreats internationally multiple times. And so obviously what it is that you were offering as a part of these retreats was incredibly appealing to people, because now so dozens and dozens of people have said yes to them over the many years that you've been working. What do you put that down to? Like, what do you think it is about your retreats in particular that people say yes to?
I think something that is so important is actually really focusing on the curation of the journey that you're taking people on when they're coming on retreat with you. So you're really clear about what the transformation is that they move through, or what it is that they're going to receive from coming on retreat, so that they understand and can see, oh, this retreat is actually really designed for me. So I think that has been something that is really important, because in all honesty, then they kind of sell themselves in that people come and they have a great experience. And most of my retreats have sold through word of mouth based on the experience people have had previously. And I've also had people come on multiple retreats with me now. So I think that that is a real huge part of it, is actually focusing on creating an incredible offering for your community. And letting that be at the heart of what you're sharing. And then all of the marketing things are, of course, important as well. Learning how to show up and be visible and tell people about what you're doing, and all of that is important too. But I think really focusing on the actual retreat is the most important part.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is actually, in all honesty, Fionnuala, the most important part of any offering that we as coaches put out to the world is like, what is the transformation here that you believe and or hope that people will get from either working with you one-on-one, being a part of a group, attending a workshop that you're running, or going on a 5-day, 7-day, even 10-day retreat. Like, what is it all about? What are people going to get? And that seems like such a simple thing, but often I think we can forget that it is the simple, clear things that people need the most to know when they are investing in themselves. And obviously you've done that really, really well. So Fionnuala, tell us a little bit more about, I'm probably going to ask you another question about retreats before we finish up today, but there was something that you mentioned which I think is really interesting before, and I know that people would love to hear about. The niche that you're working in now, which is supporting, spiritually heart-centered people to really create a life of their dreams and more than likely step into a business, because you are doing business coaching now, is obviously not where you started because you had never had a business before. You're now in a place where you can do this type of work with people because of the level of success that you've created for yourself. But tell us about the niche that you started out with and how you moved through that transition then into more business coaching and consulting.
When I started my coaching business, I was supporting people with confidence and mindset. That was the primary work that I was doing, was really around self-worth and self-confidence. And I absolutely loved doing that work. And I think no matter what niche you're in, there's an element of mindset work that we do with our clients in some capacity. And what began to happen for me was that people were starting to come to me for coaching around, I really want to find my purpose, or I'm really feeling called to explore what I'm here to do in the world. And I think that most likely came from witnessing me on my own journey and stepping into the work that I was doing and building my own business. And people became curious about that. And I suppose maybe saying that this is possible and this is something that I could explore for myself too. And so it really started to happen organically and naturally. And that's where my niche started to kind of evolve and shift and change. And that has also been the case with supporting people to run retreats and now stepping into later stages in business and supporting people when they actually know this is what I already want to do and I just want support with setting it up and figuring out how to bring myself online and into this world of having a business. And I think that the more that I have tried to think about a niche, the more confusing it gets. We're really just exploring what lit me up in the beginning, and what I felt called to share has allowed for that organic journey to happen. Because I know niching can be something that can feel like a real challenge in the beginning and feel like something that you have to figure out exactly what you're going to do forever, and that can feel like a really big decision. But yeah, definitely permission for it to shift and change, because it definitely has for me along the way.
As it has for me, and as it does in truth for most people. And this is all self-imposed pressure. Unless there's somebody out there that is actually teaching and saying to people, you can't be a great coach or have a successful business unless you know exactly right from the beginning the exact niche that you're going to move into, and that's where you have to stay, and et cetera, because we certainly don't teach that. And we try to help guide people and say that it's important for you to have a focus in your work. But for some people, that focus is not something that actually can come until they get out there and do quite a bit of coaching first. Yeah. For others, it comes to them through just their own desire and passion and interests and what they really want to do. And so there's no right way with this. And so thank you for sharing that part of your journey. Fionnuala, I'd love to finish up today by asking you, just if you have one particular golden nugget of wisdom or advice or sharing that you would love to convey to anyone that is even just curious like you were about becoming a coach, but is maybe not necessarily certain of exactly what it is that they want to do with it, but they're being called to it in some way, what would you suggest to them?
To follow that golden nugget that lives inside of your heart. There will always be reasons that it's not the right time, or reasons that you shouldn't do it, or things that your brain will come up with to call you out of following that glimmer of excitement in your body. And I truly believe that your body always knows the way. And so if your heart is making you feel called to explore coaching for whatever reason, then you get to listen to that and embrace it and enjoy the journey of it and allow the course itself to guide you to where it's supposed to take you, because it does look different for different people and it doesn't have to look any one particular way. And that's part of the magic, is allowing yourself to explore the different pathways that are available to you, and it doesn't have to be one way forever. So yeah, I hope that's helpful.
I'm sure it absolutely is. And Fionnuala, I just want to finish up today by saying that while I am sure, in fact, very sure that you would have made a wonderful educational psychologist, I am deeply grateful that whatever it is that led you to us and to yoga as well, that happened, because we are just so thrilled for you with everything that you are achieving with your yoga teaching, your retreat running, your coaching, and the extraordinarily successful business that you now have. And so thank you for following that, your own golden nugget with that in your heart, which has led you to us. We're so grateful to you.
Thank you so much, Julie. And I'm so grateful that I came across the beautiful You Coaching Academy when I did, because it has absolutely changed my life.
Amazing. Fionnuala, thank you so much. We will, of course, make sure that everyone knows how to connect with your amazing work. And everyone, if you have a dream in the future that you might like to run one-day retreats, weekend retreats, or international retreats of many more days than that, you could not find a more wonderful guide and teacher and mentor with that than Fionnuala.
Thanks, Julie.